Okay, before we begin today, so Shia raised the question that last week we were seeing some stories that are sort of questionable. Was it right for him to take the shoes? What about did he do the right thing when he ran into the when he took his bicycle one way for emergency, the other? And we started to talk about offline about some svarim that record Maserav stories about Gedolei Torah, and how sometimes those stories are not necessarily exactly how we would expect them to conduct themselves. We find a whole genre of books like this in contemporary times that have been banned, Making of a Gadol and other books like that that are not that are not necessarily the most flattering picture, but they're real pictures of who they are. And it reminds me of the famous description of Moshe Rabbeinu in the commentary, the Achinu Boaz edition of the Mishnah, which describes in the Tiferes Yisrael commentary a story, a medrash about Moshe. The medrash tells the following tale. There was a king in the desert somewhere, one of the big, great kings, who heard about the mighty Jews and heard about the great Moshe Rabbeinu, this powerful spiritual leader. And he said, I want to see him. So he sent his artists, his top artists, to go and spy on the camp and draw a picture of Moshe Rabbeinu. They came back and they drew a picture of Moshe Rabbeinu, and he looked fierce and he had these grotesque features and he looked angry and he had all these terrible midos that were evident from the picture. Draw a picture, a caricature of someone, even if it's a real picture, and it expresses what they look like. And the idea was that someone who paints a person like this, and it's a talented artist, that no doubt Moshe Rabbeinu had to have had those terrible mitos, and said, "This can't be the Moshe Rabbeinu I've heard of. It makes no sense." He was furious, so he went for himself and he looked at the picture and he looks at Moshe and said, "It's the same guy. It's the same face, right? This is the Moshe. I don't understand. My artist draws you like this. This is what you appear. I hear tall tales of your tzidkus, of your righteousness, of your generosity, of your leadership qualities, of your spiritual attributes. And that's not who you appear to be. You appear to have all of these terrible anger and jealousy and all these terrible vices." And he said, in fact, that's who I am, but I work on myself and I don't act like that. And that story appears in the Tiferes Yisrael, and it was banned and it was cut out, and many of the prints, that story did not appear anywhere. You can't find it. I have a copy of it. You can get a copy of it now. Wow. But for a long time, you didn't have that. You said, that's not a real medrash, doesn't exist, it's kfira, whatever it is, whether it's a real medrash or not. I don't think it's kfira. I think it's wonderful.
What's kfira?
Kfira is a heresy. Oh. And I think it's wonderful. The reason I think it's wonderful is because it gives you a sense of greatness is not, you're not born into greatness, you fight for it. Mm-hmm. You fight against your very base nature. You fight against your very bad midos, mm-hmm. and you correct them, and you correct course, and you become a Moshe Rabbeinu.
Yeah.
And it's specifically the ability to transmute those bad traits to good that makes Moshe Moshe. But it's such a meta question, because not only did we censor that story because we were uncomfortable with it, the very story was about the idea of censorship, right? The idea of whether or not there's a message in the uncensored version of who we are.
Well, when you read stories, almost all of our famous people have traits that we have that we would prefer not to have. I mean, it's included. So why would this one not be included?
At some point, Jewish editors became very uncomfortable with the notion. It's not just modern. Even in the Gemara debates, did David sin? Did David not sin? And the Gemara actually concludes, Kol ha'omer David chata in Torah. Anyone who says that David sinned is mistaken. But that's not what the words actually, I think the words mean anyone who says it. I don't think it means David did sin. Nasan Hanavi rebukes David for Bathsheba. It's clear he does tshuva for it. We have Tehillim where he says, I can't believe I did it. My sin is always in front of my eyes. I live my life in misery because I know that what I did was wrong. David says it. But it's any of us who feel the need to point it out. That's the mistake. So that's an interesting. That's interesting.
Even though it's history.
Yeah. So there we go. Full circle.
I like when stories tell, right? Like Moshe has,
Moshe had very few flaws.
David was like Asa, that he also was.
Yeah, he had that trait, and he had bloodshed, and he couldn't build the base of Mikdash, David, because he had.
easier to relate to
Mhm.
them, but
Right.
somebody who says like Moshe, it's hard to relate to
Yeah.
Moshe.
They J.J. Shachter used to he quoted this article. I think it was years ago from the Atlantic about a person who modeled himself in the image of his hero, who was Friedrich Nietzsche. And he went to the place where Nietzsche used to, I guess, some mountaintop where he would compose. There, I don't know much about him, but he describes um, how he saw the chair that he sat on his desk, and he said that to sit on the pedestal that his hero sat on, and then he said something to the effect of that to sit on the pedestal of someone you lionize, of someone you turn to a hero, is to question the very pedestal or to see the pedestal. At the moment you can make the person relatable, they're no longer a hero. That's the problem with heroes. Heroes have to be super. And the moment you make them human, so it's true, that is relatable for someone who's struggling. That's relatable for someone who needs to know that even great people went through those things, but it also takes away from their greatness. So you have to decide which path you want to pick. And I think that's where the debate is. Kol Omer David Chote. Yes, he sinned, but you don't say it. And the Gemara goes out of his way to say, well, David basically was justified because he could send whoever he wants to the front of the lines, and then there's the Gemara goes out of his way, and really all of the people who went to war divorced their wives beforehand, so they weren't really married.
What sin we're talking?
David Uriah. I don't want to say it. I can't say it, but where David sends Uriah to the front lines, and after he sees his wife Bathsheba, and then he marries Bathsheba after Uriah's killed in battle.
Yeah, but he took Bathsheba before he sent Uriah.
Well, right, but he sent Uriah away, and at the moment they're sent away, the Gemara says all the soldiers in the Malchus Beit David would give divorces before give gittin.
Expecting that they'll die.
Yeah, conditional gittin because they know,
case.
right? Now, if you send to the front lines, you know they're going to die. That's also part of it.
So
right?
David did that with the intention of
That's why we send our 18-year-olds because who cares about them? Go to the front lines.
Oh.
I mean, it's a crazy thought, right? Like war is like you're sending these able-bodied people who you basically know are taking the greatest risk. But yeah, so they sent him to the front lines and he died. So retroactively, the divorce was already chal. That's what the Gemara points out.
So if they go missing, they're divorced. Is that the reason?
I mean, you need proof that the person's dead, but yes, not if they go missing. It's yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. But
They don't do that in the modern Israeli army.
it's not if they it's
all
not it's not
write
necessarily if they go
letters home,
right.
their last letter, but
It's not necessarily if they go missing, but because the Gemara in Yevamos debates this, how we create that chalos of the divorce. But that's the concept. The concept is that we don't want to have women trapped.
right.
Right.
Rabbi, isn't also because soldiers are allowed certain liberties.
Yeah, but
I don't like that, but
no, but men can do whatever they want. And biblically, men can do whatever they want. So that's not fair. That's not
liberties. Biblically
you're,
or
you're,
no?
you're talking about with women on war.
Yeah.
But I'm saying first of all, that it's the whole Aisha Yifat platform is designed as a separate cheer. It's designed that it shouldn't happen.
Right.
But understand human nature is that you might think like when you're killing people, you might think like an animal. So we have to create a fiction whereby it would be a possibility, and then afterwards, uh, you have to go through this process, and she shaves her head and grows her nails, and she cries about her parents, and this. The moment she starts crying about her parents, forget it. It's over. That's what the Torah says. So the goal is it shouldn't happen, but the Torah also recognizes the Yetzer Hara. I'll give you another example where we say that we allow a person whose sibling was killed accidentally in to chase after a goel hadam to murder the person to kill the person who accidentally killed their relative.
Even the Shogun? Oh,
yeah.
If they don't go to the Ir Mikvah.
So they run to an Ir Mikvah. So we've set up 3 cities in Israel, 3 cities in the Transjordan, and then another 40 cities or so for Levium, because I guess tons of accidental murders happening. And there are certain regions where it was very common, and it was considered a problem, it was considered an extension of problems. Midos. Why do we let the relative kill you? That's wild. Why do we even allow for the system? And the Mefarshim explained that the normal tendency back then with these was you want to kill them. And if we don't allow for the outlet, the fiction, you can chase after them, that's actually even worse. So we have to allow for it, and then we have to make it impossible. And we put signs up on the road, and we make sure there's a city everywhere, and we make sure you get away quickly, right? Like, what do you do the moment?
Them.
What?
What if they actually murder them? We say, okay, it was fine because they murdered his brother.
Yeah. It would be
If they're outside
yeah.
of the refuge city, if
Mhm.
they're in the refuge
If he
city,
catches him,
they're not allowed.
Even if it's purposeful murder.
No, if it's,
No, purposeful, you have to go to base.
Isn't that what you were asking?
no. What if
The
he
relative? What if the
showed
Gol
something
Hadam?
and then
What
he
if the Gol
actually
Hadam kills him?
catch him and kills him?
right, but
Yeah.
only if it's outside the city. If it's inside the Yermin,
But we say it's fine. We're like, okay, well, it was justified.
that's what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. So,
But
I mean, murder is
so no, so killing's not prohibited. Murder is prohibited. Killing's fine. It's called war. It's a terrible fine, but it's part of life, right? Uh, but anyway, so those are, I think, some illustrations of that example. The issue de fator, you were saying when a man goes to war, and we allow for that. Not only do we don't want it to happen, but it's also a different scenario because biblically, at least, men are allowed to be married to multiple women.
right.
That was banned in the Ashkenazic world roughly in the year 1000. One of the many takanot of Rabbeinu Gershom that men don't marry more than one woman, and the Sephardic community never took on the takana.
Well,
So,
still to this day.
well, they don't do it now, but there are still probably people alive in Israel who are married to multiple women.
in Israel,
Probably, from the old, and in Utah, but that's not.
it's a different,
Yeah.
religion.
Okay.
So what does Israel do with that? Is that
I don't know. I don't know how many are left practically. Right.
So it's like a grandfathered in.
Or it's just
It's
that
not
they never took
like-
on the.
Like you can't do it now. You can't.
I don't know. I don't know much about it culturally or legally. I know nothing about it, but I just know that it does exist. Morocco and
In Arab countries.
Well, that's a totally different culture.
right.
So-
But it's
Sephardi is a different.
Sparta never took it. Sparta never took on. The Sparta never took it on. So Rabbeinu Gershom is the beginning of Ashkenaz, right?
So you can look at other people's mail. Because if they didn't.
Right. They don't have those. No, it could be that later on they have people who poskin that it was a problem of theft. By looking at other people's mail, the question is, why is it usher? Is it usher been on the chavero? Is it chisar? Is it theft? What is it? Right. So this is a whole question. What is that about? But okay, Zahirim Lashomro. Hazahirus. This Shabbos gave Rabbi Daniel Feldman, who actually wrote several svarim on laws of bin ad chavero, lashon hara, and then modern age, and all this kinds of stuff. Theft, and he's an expert.
What's the page right here?
Page Reish Ayin Aleph.
What is that?
Yeah, I think it's 305. Oh, 306.
304 or 5, yeah. So, Zahiros Minefil Shabbos, Bara Ba'atzmos of Ke'esh Lahava. His concern about observance of Shabbos burned inside of him like a fire.
Yeah, here's the middle of 305.
Middle of 305. Okay.
Concern for your position.
The Mahmuz of Shabbos Kula Yorei Haya Vecharad Lenafsho Laval Yikasher Kalila Be'isr Kal Shmekale. He was very careful that he shouldn't violate even the lightest of all mitzvahs. Ki ma'achar be'surei Shabbos, once prohibitions of Shabbos, afilu b'chumra shemem, even their stringencies, kal me'od likashel, are so easy to violate. Harei she'avoda shalema isazu l'tzachzeach es ha'yiras ha'shamayim ve'zehiras ha'gedola al kol tsar v'shal. The avoda shalema, the real full act, avoda, is to work on one's yirat shamayim and care for every little Saad Vishal, for every little element. In other words, when you're a person who works on Yiras Shamayim, so you should start to focus even on each of the minute details. They become important. Or the Yom HaShabbos. One has to be careful about removing skins hanging over by your nail, right? Hangnail and things like skin that you remove minisyono lamad. We know by way of anecdote that many people mess up in this area. They're not paying attention even. I told you, I think the past, Rav Willig one time said in Moshe Kolo, we were learning the laws of Shabbos that summer. We're learning gozes, which is cutting fingernail and hair. And he pointed out, I think the name, I don't remember who it was, one was Rebbein, that anyone who regularly chews their nails during the week is probably nichshel on Shabbos, whether they know it or not, because it's a bad habit that you, right?
Don't think of it.
Right. So So I have a special. So you have to cut your nails right for Shabbos for that reason. I chew my nails right for Shabbos for that reason. But yes, I'm kidding. All right. Should make a lot of attention, noise about that. It may not apply to a hangnail that's on its end. It's painful. It may not apply. So, but Yom HaShabbos.
If it hurts, you could do it.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it may like there are times in which it's hanging. It's not even it's barely connected. That it may not be a violation. It depends on the scenario. Still, we don't do it directly, right? Yom Shos Kasher hu mavchin bebeit knesset be'adam hakoses tzipurnam bli mesim. Person who is chewing his nails without paying attention. Ha'nige shelav mkomo b'mehiros. Ma miroso al sakana arevet lo b'chol rega. Sakana norat shechol Shabbos. This danger of chol Shabbos. Gamim oso Yehudi amad bechelko achorish b'beis knesses. Even if he was in the back of the shul, pasa ilav lamono maseo, he would go up to him and tell him, you should eat him af be'emtza Rosh Hashanah v'esgnez. In the middle of the shul, he say, you chewing your nails in the back. Ramaz la'adam limaneim masezeh. Ki chil Shabbos eino nofel b'chol nasom tuach nefesh. It's Chol Shabbos is serious as saving a life. Uklum im she'ela shel nefashos omedes haisa al perak. Why is he saving life? Because he could stop him from Chol Shabbos. He's saving him from a Deoraisa punishment, which would end in death. So
He's embarrassing him in front of
No, it doesn't say he would yell it out. It said
No.
even go to the back.
yeah, he'd go to the back, even if he's in the middle of his drush, he'd stop his drush and walk up to him.
and
Not everybody would look to see.
Maybe he's asking him, conferring. Is that what Tosha says? Yeah,
Yeah.
He's conferring the Shiloh with him.
What about
Like the time that I was wearing tefillin b'chol moed in the Ramban synagogue, and Rabbi Victor Nevensoul came up to me because Americans don't realize the first time that you're not supposed to wear tefillin b'chol moed. It's different minhagim in America,
Right.
but in Israel, no one wears tefillin b'chol moed. And Rabbi Victor Nevensoul was the head rabbi of the old city. He's learned side by side with Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach for 30 years. He came up to me and said, let's talk in Torah. He came up to me and he said, please take your tefillin off. So that was never forget that. Sorry, you're going to
No, I was going to say, to send somebody to the back of if somebody's in the back of the shul doing something, then you're embarrassing him in public too.
That's what I did. Yeah.
So the question is right. But the question is, yeah, but if someone was having a heart attack in shul, you say, I don't want to embarrass him. Sorry, let's wait till everyone leaves. He felt it was piko of nefesh. Even if I could stop him from doing something that's mechayev on a Shabbos.
He would yell it out. I think he would just walk up to him.
So this, by the way, I will take issue with your approach. I think that embarrassing someone, potential embarrassing someone and saving them for Chol Shabbos, you choose saving them for Chol Shabbos in a way that's menschlich.
Right, that's what I mean.
But you have to stop
embarrassing in public.
But you got to stop him because he's doing it right now. It's not like he's going to do it later. So by the way, I noticed that you were frying an egg during the shear. Can't do that on Shabbos. Next time, don't do that. It's in the middle of Chol Shabbos. So I guess that was but yeah, point taken. And we do view embarrassing someone as as killing them.
Killing
so yeah,
that, as opposed to
that's hashkafically versus halachically. You're not allowed to do a malach Shabbos. Litim af be'emtza Rosh Hashanah nes Ramaz la'adam limaneh ma'aseh ki chilo Shabbos eno nofen b'chol maso mipikuach nefesh klum im sheila shel nefashot umedet haisal perik laya osa kol tzedakah kedei la'atzil chayav shel Yehudi. Why wouldn't he go out of his way to save the life of another Jew? Shevchin be'echad mididav shu koses. By the way, I think Shira, we're trying to get a picture now. A certain intense way of life that he lived. Right? It's not forever. There's a certain exactness of and it's consistent. It's just pretty intense. Now here, when he sees one of his friends doing it during the week, hair goes out. Don't do this. Bad habit. There's no issue during the week. But if you have the habit, you're going to do it on Shabbos. Rabbeinu, he was afraid of sins. He saw the future possibility of danger. To prevent his friend from coming to perform a sin. Rabbi Shimon Zatzal Siper. One time, Rav Pinkus, blessed memory, told the story. He was very careful about this idea. one time,
Kissed in the street.
he was kissed in the street.
Yeah.
Okay. Hayazek Hasher halach l'tumo bracho b'nei Brak.
But it says Zacha that he merited
Well,
kissed and
so let's see what that is.
Here it says led to his being kissed in the street.
Hayazek Hasher halach l'tumo bracho. Right, the Zacha like it was b'nei Brak. Peta yivchin b'Yehudi akoses tziparav. He saw a person who was chewing his nails. B'bli lachshov pamayim. He wasn't thinking about it twice. Nigei shel Yehudi. He went up to the Jew. Ve'hi'ir lo al hamichshol. Told him about the possibility that this will lead you to a bad habit that will be repeated on Shabbos. Halo lo istapek v'psika midiat shel malacha. Alamir afla abia et hakar to the dolam atzilo ve'emsad neshika asher. He was so grateful for pointing this out that he gave the guy a big kiss. Yeah.
no, that's rich.
Okay. Yeah. What were you thinking? Lerov Saredato, because of his trembling, his we mean in the literal sense, his sense of fear, his awe. Nesha is Isra Hanora, this great Isra, Hidfis Modam Yuchadet Asher Askabenos Izeh, Uval Uvu Divrayim Shal Mishnah Berurah V'Shar Poskim Odo Te Isra Chum Raso, and he quoted the Mishnah Berurah and other poskim on this Isra as a Modah. He feeds Bebate Knesset Bebate Midrashot to Allah Rabin to help other people. Gam Sifro Shabbos Malkasa, even in the book Shabbos Malkasa, Yachas Virgil Isra Zeh Asher Bnei Adam Mizalzlim Bo Kasu Dvarim Charifim Odosav. And this is from the book Shabbos Malkasa. Now, Shabbos Malkasa is the book that he wrote. This sefer are his shiurim, many of which ideas are contained in Shabbos Malkasa and beyond. And we chose to learn this because this had the English, and Shabbos Malkasa does not have English. But the two works that he wrote that he was most well known for was Shabbos Malkasa and the Tefillah book that we wrote.
And it doesn't come in English?
Those both, Shabbos Malkasa is not English, but this is in English, which is his sure. It's a more extended version. But this is a quote from that book. Here is a rebuke that is out in the open for people who regularly chew their nails during the week. And out of habit, they do it on Shabbos. This is complete violation of Shabbos. Because they don't understand what they're doing, it's like they're b'shogeg. It's accidental. No one's doing it on purpose. So yes, maybe the second time he's not amazed anymore, but he's a poshea, still negligent for having developed those bad habits. If you see that something is difficult to be careful about, you're more negligent. In other words, if you know you have a problem, you don't think about it, there's negligence involved. And you have to add shmira onto shmira, meaning be extra cautious. Now he continues to explain. He says, what is this like? A person's traveling in by car and he sees a person. And he continues to drive and he sees another person. Oh, he hits a person, right?
It's not this part isn't. This isn't not have it.
You think he hits the other guy? Yeah.
What does it say?
He's driving his car and he's driving a car and he hits another person.
Okay.
And then he continues to drive and he hits another person. And somebody says, well, why aren't you being careful? He's not so what can I do? And it was an accident. My glasses are broken. I can't see anything. Came a said the same thing. In kolkach is ragelet. If you can't be careful, kasher siyadayim o lech lishon. Either tie up your hands or go to sleep. Who allowed you to walk around driving a car blindfolded? Hashem Yishmerenu. He continues now his words and he concludes, it's just like the parable, it's just like the case we're comparing it to. Violent Shabbos cutting your nails. It's no worse than killing, because you're not allowed to take your own life. Another example, one of his friends from youth explained when he realized maybe I violated muktzah, he would he would not go back to a place, I guess, that was really important to him. Until he spent at least 10 hours reviewing the laws of Muksa. So when he realized he made a mistake in an area of halacha, he would punish himself and say, not punish me, say, I'm not doing this benefit, whatever that is, this thing I enjoy, until I spend 10 hours reviewing that halacha. By the way, this is extreme.
Yeah.
Usually when I forget things, I will typically look it up, but it's usually not 10 hours. And I usually don't have, and if I don't, appended to the to that. But it's a good advice.
Yeah.
When you do have a suffix halacha, look up the halacha, learn it.
Yeah.
Spend some time on it.
Mhm.
Okay. Latzil Michal Shabbos. Next section.
Well, there's one thing that's interesting here. He says that if he sees non-observant Jews doing a Chilul Shabbos, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he doesn't.
That's right.
You didn't get there yet?
I think it's the next section. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There was a part that was not in the English.
I see.
Now we're up to the part.
That was very interesting.
Yerusal Michal Shabbos. He was careful about Shabbos. Garma lo shelo lachshot b'mekarim behem hivchin o chashash kirulim Yehudim likashel Michal Shabbos. So it caused him that he would hafashot. I don't know. If he saw children violating Torah prohibition, he would ask them to stop. Okay, well, let's see. So Nietzsche Lerot B'Kov V'Pona La'avar. I guess that line's not in there. Yeladim Ktanim, small children Mesachim B'Shabbos Golot Chodom V'Chol. They were playing things that were not Shabbosdik types of things. Umor Lahem Mahafsik Mesachkim. Because he would tell them that those are not Shabbosdik activities. Ma'achav Yesh B'Kach Tashash is a Doraisa, because there is a concern of Doraisa. Golot, I think, are the five, the jacks, the five heavy stones, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the reason that those are brought down in the poskim, because they used to worry about digging in the ground. When they were worried about those, there was a concern that you would pick them, and as you dig your hand, you're doing plowing, right? So that was a concern that's in this farm already, and as a result, they are contemporary poskim, so you can't play those games, that particular game. So anyway, so let's say they were playing this. So it's Kuglach, right? It's called.
Yeah.
So they were playing this game. Stop. There's a concern of Isdaraisa. It was unusual because if you found someone who was not from at all, you would never say anything to them, right? But he would. He was concerned about them. Savur Hayaki Tocho Asui toilet. He thought that was a benefit. Again, in the laws of Tochacha, we gave a share on this a few weeks ago in my mini series. You only rebuke a person if you believe that it's going to have a benefit, and they're not going to punch you in the face. Even up to the point they punch you in the face, you're allowed to. But you have to at least believe there's going to be a benefit to it.
Because once you tell them, then it's a worse.
So that's the concern. So that's interesting. In his cheshbon, and here we go, Meiser Rav type of thing. It was better to tell them. We do have a category in halacha called mutav shushogin b'mizid. Is what you're referring to, Chris, which is it's better people should violate things bishogeg than knowingly, willingly do it.
Yeah, that's what he says here.
Oh, okay. So Bereshis Kufat Hidashus Bofakim. When he first came to Ofakim, it wasn't a settled area. Those areas where they have the caravans and just like a bunch of dirt, right? Midbar Shmama Histarea Malial, and it was just a desert, dirt. Et Hamikum Hash.
He is he an yeah.
Yeah, he was an Ofakim, yeah.
Because I was just there.
Yeah. Who's there? Who lives there? You were just visiting.
No. The mission that I was on.
Oh, they visited Ofakim, right. Yeah, because they were attacked very severely.
Yes.
So he saw a group of people who were gathered hunting birds. Yeah. Remember the game Duck Hunt on Nintendo? Asher Heyosa Avuram Techaviv. Oh, what's Techaviv means? It was some sort of, I don't know what that is, whatever it is. Yom Shabbos Kodesh Yom Chopesh.
They couldn't translate it either. They scanned it.
Right.
I don't know what that phrase is. It's an expression. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was your day off. Hashmama. So it would bring you to carelessness and acting in certain ways. Sham hayu mitmakim ve'oskim betachvivam b'meshech shot rabot. They would be engaged in their, let's look up this word. Look it up.
It's must be in bird hunting or something.
I don't know. It's expression, some Hebrew expression. Tach. Hobbies.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Beloved things. Chaviv. Right? B'yom Shabbos Kodesh, they would use their hobbies. B'meshech shot rabot. B'masem shel otam sayidin, those hunters. Asher b'muvan lo yu shomrei Torah mitzvos. They were not observant. Nirmas kivoda shel Shabbos b'leiv medaber midei Shabbos b'Shabbos. So the covet of Shabbos would be destroyed, would be melted away. One of those Shabbos is be'od hatzeyadim oskim malaptam, when they were hunting. B'shashalo tinokot shenishbu. He believed they were what we call captured children.
Tinok shenishba.
Tinok shenishba. It's an expression that has been bandied about for roughly 80, 90 years now. And originally used by the Chazon Ish, maybe a little more than 100 years. And the Chazon Ish referred to people who were not born religious as Tinok Shenishba. It's an expression in the Gemara that refers to a child who was taken into captivity. And the concern was the child grows up in the convent and then comes out. He doesn't know Shema Yisrael. He doesn't know mitzvahs. He doesn't know tzitzis, right? So that's Tinok Shenishba. There's an exemption because you didn't know any better. Mm-hmm. So the Chazon Ish's chiddush was applying this category of a captive child to someone who's born in non-religious settings. Tinok Shenishba. So they were all Tinoko Shenishba. Avru al Malachos Shabbos.
It's not incumbent upon someone to teach them?
Well, again, that's the struggle. That's what he's worrying about. The question is, you should be taught, but you also have an exemption until you are taught, right? Because you didn't know any better. But God's not going to hold you accountable.
Who's half Jewish, the mother's Jewish.
You know that.
They don't,
No,
and they're
I
raised
understand.
not.
I was just wondering halachically whether one is.
You probably are required.
Yeah.
Are required, but how to do so is the difficulty, right? Amalachos Rabos Chumros Hivchin Behem Machlon Beito Kshem Komam B'Merchak Rav Beito. He saw, I guess, an illness of the house. Who severe lay Kiaf Shem Karim Rabim Adif Limanem Lochiach. He said sometimes it's better not to rebuke. As I said before, sometimes it's better to be inadvertent violators of law than to do it on purpose. Maybe he'll think that, okay, there's something to it, and he'll receive my rebuke. He didn't wait. He went with great emotion. In order to give him rebuke. Didn't have once. That was his way. He felt these people could be restored. They brought back. The hunters come there. Maybe he thought my words will bear fruit. Mm-hmm. So the author is acknowledging that this is a struggle and that this is, again, the intensity of his personality was, I believe we could bring them back. I believe we have a shot at bringing them back.
There are some people who will stop to think about it. Mm-hmm. Mostly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, should we do one more paragraph? Okay.
It's little.
It is little, right?
Yeah.
Shmir al Eruv. Care about observance of the Eruv. Tkuva Mesiyemet Kimu, it's stadion Bikte Ayarot Ofakim. They put a stadium. Betzida Pona Lekivun Chatzerim. That's a place, Chatzerim. Stadion Zeh, Kamo Rahman Salam Misaki, Kadarego. Oh no, they had a soccer match. Midday Shabbos B'Shabbos. And unfortunately, the soccer matches met on Shabbos. Tochel Shabbos Hamoni. Great violation of Shabbos involved. Yehudim, Rabim, Rechokim, Mitorah Mitzvahs, gathered them, Oshel Shabbos, Yehudi, Chol, Nedrei, Kurtov, Shulruchnias, right? And then you had secular Jews who were, they'd come to without any spirituality. Paktu et hamakom, Safu behevel havalim zen. They engaged in this vanity. Et chilul Shabbos Hamoni, the great Chil Shabbos that was happening. The players, the people engaged, the camera, whatever. Lo yachol no, you can't count. Ulam uvda ulo madam mimenu asos kol ishtadlos kedei letzimtzim es hamichshol minein. He tried to stop them. Stones. Good for that. No. What do you do? Fichach amad tamid b'tokef kokach sha'eruv klali shel yara yachlol gam et stadium. Wow, what a story! He tried to build the Eruv to include the stadium.
Yeah.
Wow, that's an amazing story.
He insisted that.
Yeah.
Except that it
The Odo
gives permission to the people.
Oh, so that's a great question. So that's an interesting question, right? Is it better that they violate less or not? I mean, you're not going to stop a soccer match, right? There's millions of dollars poured into this. Maybe at least they won't. The Odo Masbir Lacharai et Anosei Rona Si Reina Midei Shabbos Mitkaimim Irui Sport Bit Stadion Rabim Meachenu Nitshal Machnon Samalachos Chamros. How many malachos are doing? Lamanam Lagia Miskam. They're traveling in their cars to get to the game. Ain't on it. We can't stop them from driving there. I was joking. He's not throwing a stone.
Mhm.
But at least remove some of the stumbling blocks that were part of it. They're also carrying. Right? Whether they're the bags or their sports equipment, oshtia or drink, shar chafetzim, ishiyim, personal items, imam. Et hamichshol azeh lefachot yifom analinoah. We can at least take away this michshol, this stumbling block. Nichlo gam et stodim betchume eruv. Let's include that in the eruv. Umeata kula klum. Einzur chavotenu. It's not our obligation. V'chein, is it not our obligation? V'chein had study on haklal betchume eruv. The stadium should include b'shlav mesuyam. Rchav hakvish ben ofakim lechatzerim. At some point, they widened the highway between Ofakim and Chatzerim. Uvda asher ora ba'ya alachtit bekishruto shel eruv, and it affected the status of the eruv because whenever you have poles and barriers and they start to expand, you knock down a wall, you're actually affecting the eruv. They were just knocking down. They were just doing a lot of work along McCormick. I called up our head of our eruv and I said, "You better watch what they're doing." So about 100 workers chopping down trees. That means the fence may come down. That's a it's not a Telmus Lockett the whole way. We need that fence along the McCormick Canal. So they went and they watched it. Every time there's construction, there's something could happen. So they started to expand the road between Ofakim and Chatzerot. And Chatzerim rather. He was worried about that. I guess there was some sort of mound that went under the very wire of the Eruv, many meters wide, many meters long. So if you have a large rishus on its own, like another private domain or a mountain or a building, a structure that goes under the Eruv line, it could ruin the Eruv. You have to circumvent that. In some way, he found a solution. His tractor. He hired a tractor. Share amal b'meshech kameyamim liasher tatel. They smoothed out the pile of dirt. You don't saw that was there. Kasher b'meshech otam yamim hayomed agaba v'doig lachsharat. It's interesting because I've been involved with these decisions. If they build a structure, you build on either side of the structure a lechi, and that way the lechi, the wire goes over. The problem is you can't deal with a mound of dirt because at any moment, if it's a construction pile, they're either going to move it or not. You don't know, and you can't build a lechi around a pile of dirt. So he just pushed the pile of dirt and flattened it. It's a great story.
It's a great story.
All right.
So